Hi, welcome to TFYLP. We have a special episode tonight. We're doing an interview. This is for our holiday show here. So, with me tonight, I have Rick and Peter. And then we have our special guest. We have Chris, who once upon a time starred in some Transformers commercials back in the day. So we'll kind of get into that, kind of how everything worked, and yeah. So anyway,
So, um, Chris, let's start off with the basics. Uh, who are you? How old were you? How did you? What is the tale of you coming to be the kid in those infamous Transformers commercials?
Okay, so if I'm remembering correctly, I think my mom picked me up from I was at work with my dad. I mean, I wasn't working, but she picked me up and she said, "Hey, what do you think about possibly being in a commercial?" And I was, just like any kid, what are you talking about? And she told me that I guess Hasbro was doing auditions for commercials. And I told her, of course, I told her, yeah, sure, but I didn't really think anything would come of it. Um,
Now, how old were you, and where was this?
so I was 10 years old, and we were living in the Netherlands at the time. My dad was in the Air Force, and we were stationed at a place called Afcent, which was kind of like a combined or joint base. There were Canadians, Brits, Americans there. So, and it was through the youth organization. It was called the IYA, International Youth Association, and they kind of hosted the Hasbro and the auditions.
So all these commercials with all these kids that we assumed, because we're Americans, we assume other people are Americans. We assume these kids were well. You seem to be American.
Yeah, I'm totally American.
They were shot overseas.
These particular ones were. I don't know about the ones before or after. From what I was told at the time, it was cheaper for Hasbro to do that. Like they didn't have to get you like in like the Actors Guilds or whatever. So I haven't really done my research, but from my understanding is like they have to pay you for every take and every time it's shown on TV if they film here. But by filming over there, it was like a loophole around all that. That's my understanding.
Right. So no child safety laws. Excellent. Excellent. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, I guess.
Right. It was the 80s.
Yeah.
All right. So your mom picks you up from school. She says, you want to be in a commercial. What happened next?
So I don't know how much time passed between that and the actual auditions there locally, but we went, and it was just kind of like one of those things where pretty much every kid showed up and they're like, yeah, you're going on to the next step. So the next step, we lived about 3 hours south of Amsterdam in that little piece of the Netherlands that's between Belgium and Germany. So the next step was to go up to Amsterdam to audition. And we went up there and there was, I think, four of us. And they did it in groups of two. And so we did our audition. Well, there were more than four of us, but they picked four of us.
Now, were these all American or English speaking kids?
Yeah, I think all of us were Americans. And so they got down to four of us and they did us. Then they took us in groups of two back there. And when it was done, they called me and this other kid back and they said, hey, you guys made it. So I remember feeling bad for the other two guys because they didn't call back, but they also made it. I don't know why they did it in two separate groups like that, but so the four of us got in. I didn't know any of them before that, and I don't know any of them now. And then from there, we did filming. I don't remember how that took place. I think that was all between them and the parents and stuff.
So did you ever talk to your folks about it, like when growing up, like, hey, how much did I get paid for this? Where is that money?
So I think it was like 500 guilders a day. That's what I was told. None of that came directly to me.
Is that like Bitcoin?
I think at that time it was like $250. And so we filmed 3 different days. I know we filmed at least 3 different commercials. One day we filmed with 2 some of the same Transformers, but I know some of the stuff that we did was not in the commercial that I've seen. So I don't know if there's another commercial floating out there for those same Transformers, or if there's just didn't make the cut. But
so let's talk about what you remember from set. Did you wear your own clothes? Did they dress you?
I'm pretty sure we had a dressing room. I'm kind of remembering that. That is vague, but I'm pretty sure they gave us clothes to wear.
And did you get to play with the toys beforehand, get to know the toys, or did they just say, hey, here's what the toy does, do this?
So the first commercial was for the first day we shot was for trading cards. Trading cards that I can't find anywhere on the internet. They can't find them for sale anywhere. I've never seen that commercial. I've tried YouTubing it, Googling it. I can't find that anywhere, but it was for like trading cards. And the set was like set up like we were in a park, had like fake sidewalks and fake grass and stuff like that. And we were like trading cards. So no, not really. We just, and everything was just ad-libbed. And there's actually a funny story that goes along with that.
Can we hear it?
Yeah,
Sure.
What's the funny story?
They pulled me off the set and told me that I couldn't say Optimus Prime correctly. So they basically took me to like a speech therapist there on the set and taught me how to say Optimus Prime. And like I said, everything was ad-libbed. I don't recall anything being scripted at all. And then, so I've never seen that commercial, but the other 2, they dubbed over our voices anyways. So it was kind of like, why did we even go through all that? Everything was ad-libbed, and you can even use our voices. So what was the point? And it makes me wonder, is that why they dubbed over our voices? Was I the reason for that?
Well, that's very interesting. Who would have thought that would have been dubbed over? I wonder if it was kids doing the voiceover or really good actors who do the voice of kids.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's also interesting to know that they would have a speech therapist on set.
So, day 2, by the way, if anyone knows of these trading cards...
Before we go to day 2, I'm curious, did those Transformers cards exist? Like, Peter, Rick, I'm sure you would know if they did.
Who knows? I mean, there's so many different card sets out there.
And lots of interesting stuff internationally. So
yeah.
I think that we might know.
Yeah. Or what I've wondered is, do they have ideas and prototypes for things that just never get released?
There are stuff like that, but for it to make it to a commercial, it's pretty weird that it wouldn't have gotten released. I can see the commercial being filmed and never aired, but by that point the product's already in the pipeline because you got to have samples to shoot with.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody out there knows about these cards, maybe some of our international listeners, it's possible it was a regional thing. It's possible it's just the Transformers trading cards. You know what? I'll send you some pictures and maybe that'll jog your memory.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find them. And so that one was a kind of a 2-parter. So we did the part where I said there was like a fake little park set up, and then they transported us over to another set. And in that set, it was basically like we were in a toy store, from what I recall. And like the back wall was pretty much every Transformer you could think of still in the boxes, just kind of stacked on top of each other. And they would not let us have any of them. Wouldn't, the parents kept asking. So on the second and third commercials, they actually gave us some toys, which was pretty cool.
Did you get to keep the toys from the commercial?
No, we didn't. I think those were all just prototypes. I mean, from my recollection, they seemed very, functional and real. But yeah, they wouldn't let us keep them.
All right.
And
so
that out in circulation, I would think, before the toy was actually released. Even just, those 2 or 3.
So there's some animation that goes with those commercials. I'm guessing they didn't show that to you guys.
No.
Okay. And so back to my other question. Did you have any time to play or get to know the toys before they said, "Hey, you're going to do this"?
No. Not that if we did, it was such little time that I don't recall it.
Did you and the other kids get along? Were you?
Yeah, I think so. I think like in between like shots and shooting, there was like areas in the back where we could just go hang out and play.
Yeah, where they put like newspaper down for you guys and some water.
There was just a room that I know this is gonna sound. I just recall a room with a bed, and we would just hang out in there.
And they would flash the red light when they wanted you on set. And
I think somebody to come in and get us. Yeah, and while we were doing that running around, I don't know if you guys remember this. Not to get like off the topic of Transformers, but do you remember the Inhumanoids?
Yes.
I think those were really new back then, and we got to see like they had some of those there. So I don't know if they were shooting commercials for that too, but we got to see those before they were actually released as toys. At least I don't think they had been released yet. So that was pretty neat too.
Based on the time frame of when, because we haven't actually mentioned the toys that you were in commercials for, like which characters. We've only mentioned the cards so far, but based on the timeline of what commercials you were in and when the Inhumanoid toys actually dropped, that would line up perfectly. So they might not have, you might have seen them before they hit the street. That's awesome.
So if you're watching the visual version of this, we've edited in the commercials. The commercials is the Battle Chargers. And then it's Springer and Wreck-Gar is the second commercial.
Yeah.
Now Peter and Lucas can help me. Chris, you're not the kid that turns into Ultra Magnus, are you?
No.
Okay, so you're the kid that's like looking around with the eyes.
Yeah, that's me with the bowl cut and kind of reddish brown hair. Yeah, that's me. No, I did film that whole robots in disguise thing, and I had trouble keeping my eyes focused in one spot. So I don't think that kid's a lucky kid, because I can tell you he didn't film all the commercials that he's shown up in. He's in a lot more commercials than he actually filmed. I've seen a bunch of them like on YouTube and stuff.
Is it weird now knowing that those commercials are out on DVD sets and on YouTube, and you can go to the store and buy a DVD set and have that commercial on there?
Yeah, it is kind of weird when you think about it like that.
What do your kids think of this? Are they of age to know like what's going on? Like, Dad used to be someone important.
I have 6 kids. One of them is an adult. One's a teenager, so those are old enough. My younger kids are my oldest kids with my current wife, probably just getting to that age where they might be able to understand it. But the concept of commercials is kind of, lost on them. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, I guess YouTube has them now, and they're just getting into watching that. So, I think my 2 older kids think it's pretty cool.
So, as a parent, with your kids growing up, did you buy them Transformers?
Oh yeah.
Was that on purpose because of the commercial and the history, or is it just like, hey, Transformers were cool?
I think the commercials kind of are what kind of got me into Transformers. Before that, I was, I just recently gotten into G.I. Joe, but of course, sorry, before that I was playing with Star Wars mostly, He-Man a little bit. Just like I said, just recently gotten into G.I. Joe, and I think that those commercials were what launched me into Transformers. I think I probably would have started playing with them anyways. I mean, just cool toys, but they're probably, of all those, toy lines I mentioned, probably my favorites.
So, did you ever get a chance to go to the store and buy those toys that you were in the commercials with?
So I did get, and I don't know where it is now. I think my ex-wife has it in storage. But I do have the Battle Charger. I have one here, but it's not mine. It's used from a toy convention. So I do have Run Amok was his name somewhere. And then, like I said, the used one. I have a couple of Springers here, and I have a Wreck-Gar here, and I just The other day, I pre-ordered a Wreck-Gar off of Hasbro Pulse.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Nice.
the new one's pretty good. So, would you have thought at the time you did those commercials that you would be able to watch that today? You know, that you'd be able to see it on YouTube and whatnot?
No, of course not. I don't. I don't know that I've ever even thought I'd see him. Living in the Netherlands at the time, most of the commercials you saw were Dutch,
Right.
if I recall correctly. A lot of American TV, but the commercials in between were Dutch. The first time I saw him, we were friends. My mom worked with this lieutenant colonel who had come back to the United States, and he filmed some Saturday morning cartoons and sent them back to me. And I was watching them, and the commercial came on. I ran downstairs yelling at my mom. I was yelling at Mom. And she got aggravated with me because she thought something was wrong because of the way I was like yelling for her. Yeah, I was so excited to see it. And I'm pretty sure it was the Battle Chargers commercial.
So how long did it go between? Because we're part of that generation that we grew up without YouTube. We had VHS tapes.
Yep.
So how long was it between the last time you saw that commercial as a kid and then rediscovering it later on in life?
Oh, probably years, if not a couple of decades.
Did you go out looking for it, or did someone say, "Hey, is that you?" Or
that I don't remember, actually. I probably would have looked for it. I probably looked for it because I had them at one point. I had links posted on my my old Facebook account, so it's possible. But I honestly I don't remember. I do have friends even who I didn't know at the time who know that I filmed those commercials. So it's possible they found them or came across them and told me or something like. But
So, did you end up being in other commercials as well, or is it just the Transformers commercials that you were in?
Just Transformers, and like I said, we filmed 3 separate days. There's some filming that I know that we did, that I recall doing that is not in it. That's from the Wreck-Gar Springer commercial. When you see that commercial, I'm pretty sure I'm only using Wreck-Gar in that commercial, but there were parts of that commercial where I filmed Springer. There was a part where there was a big cylindrical piece of styrofoam about this big around. It's kind of hard to show you. It was probably about 3 feet tall, and they had it on, I guess, some kind of a rod or something, and it was just spinning, and it was spray painted like a dark purple. The same as probably what's in the commercial, and it was just spinning, and I just had to stand there with Springer in my hand like this and so the spinning made it look like he was flying, and that's not in the commercial.
So how was the end of the filming process? They said, "All right, you guys are done. Achtung, wie geht's? Do svidaniya."
I don't recall that. I don't know if we were ever actually told, "Hey, yeah, this is it. You guys are finished. It's a wrap." I'm sure we probably were. I don't recall that. I doubt that they just kind of left us hanging, waiting for that next call that just never came. But I don't recall. I really just mostly remember the filming process.
Did you do you remember what toys they gave you at the end?
Oh yeah. So on the second commercial, I think they gave us Dinobots, and I got Slag. I think I got the one that's the Stegosaurus.
Snarl.
Okay.
Oh, yep, you're right. And then for the third one, they gave us the new Seekers, and I got Thrust.
Okay.
I own that Thrust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that Thrust is directly from Hasbro.
All right. Peter, you should check the copyrights on that.
Will do. He's packed up right now, but yeah.
Yeah, so that I remember mostly the second commercial. That's the one I remember most vividly. That's the one with the battle chargers.
So do you remember any directions they gave you? Like, all right, so you're going to pull this thing back, let it go, smile.
Yeah. That's why I kind of remember that one the most. That one was very fun. So they were all very fun. And you can imagine being a 10-year-old kid recording commercials for, national television, for a top line toy like Transformers. Totally like surreal, but so it was really exciting to do, but that one was also a pain in the butt to do because we were on a set and we had these big heat lamps that were about this big around, about that high above our heads, just outside of the camera's view. And I had like a polo with a sweatshirt on. So I'm in here, I'm baking, I'm on my hands and knees with these heat lamps this high above my head. And the director is telling us what they want us to do is they want us to pull these battle chargers back in unison, completely at the same time, let go without pushing forward at all, make sure that they stayed straight with each other, popped up at the same time, and didn't crisscross at all. And that was pretty tough to do. That one took close to or just over 30 takes to get that right. I think if you watch it, you still see, I'm pretty sure they crisscross. And I know they did not, we got specific direction for that to not happen.
Did all the kids do the same takes, or did they pick certain kids? Hey, you do this one. Both of you do this one, and we'll pick the better one. Or
it was the same. We had the same roles throughout all the takes. I had the white one run amok the whole time. The guy who had the black one, which I think is Runabout, I think is his name. He had that guy the whole time, and the guys that came swooping in with the Autobots, they had those same Autobots the whole time.
I think we should find those guys and recreate that commercial. Of all awesome. You guys now.
Probably be willing.
There you go. Do it over Skype or Zoom and whatnot. That'd be fun.
And it'd be interesting to see, how similar or how different our recollection of the process is or was.
So, what does your wife think about you doing this interview today?
She's probably happy that it's keeping me away from her, so she can watch her shows on her phone. No, I think she thinks it's cool. She helped me get everything set up and ready. We're setting up this that I'm in, decorating it for Christmas and stuff. We're still in the process, and I'm still in the, we just moved into this house a couple months ago. I've got like a setup behind here. I don't know if you guys can see it or if I'm in the way, but I'm still in the process. You can see a couple of empty shelves of trying to get that one done. Most of it's Transformers, but some of it's some other stuff.
So you're still a Transformers fan?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I would say recently I kind of became a collector, and that started out, going back to your question about whether or not if I buy toys for my kids, it kind of started off with me buying Transformers that were probably a little advanced for my kids at the time that I bought them. So just kept them in packaging, just stored in our closets. and so now they're mine. Yeah.
I did the same for my kids, and now they're too valuable for me to give them to my kids. So now they're mine.
So I have a Grimlock is one of my favorite Autobots. So I have a whole Grimlock set up over here. My kids will come in and be like, "Hey, wait, that's mine." I'm like, "Fine, no." They just lose them and break stuff.
It's in my house, so it's mine.
Yeah.
Right. You got to get those glass shelves, with the locks on it, right?
Yeah.
Were you at all disappointed that you didn't get a call from Michael Bay or the studio to reprise your role for the film?
That would have been awesome, but I mean, I didn't really even think about it.
Yeah.
Those were pretty good movies. I liked them a lot. I'm interested to see what the new one will end up being like.
So, we're figuring out you were 10 years old. We're close to the same age. You got to be in your 40s.
Yeah, 47.
Do you know of Beast Wars?
Do I know of Beast Wars?
Yeah. Is that past your time?
Oh no, I still watch. My kids and I watch Rescue Bots together.
Okay. All right.
If it's Transformers, we watch it.
Nice.
All right. Well, good for you. Do you still like keep up with anything else, GI Joe or?
Um, yeah, I've been buying a bunch of that stuff because it seems to be coming around a little bit more. Um, I've been buying some of the what is it, the classified series and the new like Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes stuff that you're seeing like in Target and stuff. I've been buying little bits and pieces here and there of that.
Okay.
And definitely have the Star Wars set up over here too. Um, our thing for Star Wars is AT-ATs and Millennium Falcons. That's what we collect. So.
I think we need to make some prints of some screen grabs and invite you out to a show one day and just have you sign some autographs for people, because it's, you laugh, but it's like, it is a treat to meet someone who got to do what every other kid our age wanted to do. You got to be in a commercial, you got free toys for it, and you got a hell of a story to tell 30 years later.
Yeah. I was the Toy Con that I was at, where I bought that Run Amok that I have. There was a guy there that, he suggested that I start going to Toy Cons. I thought it was kind of ridiculous, but I mean, now I'm hearing basically something similar a second time. It's like, I'd do it. Like you said, it's, it's an awesome experience to be able to do that. It's just like being on this podcast. Who knew somebody wanted to do a podcast for the commercials that I did? At first when Peter sent me that message, I almost ignored it because you get so much spam. You get so much spam and scam type stuff, sent to you all the time. But he'd given enough information that I was like, yeah, I'll bite. And so, and then it was like our mothers work together. I have your Transformers, as if he was holding them hostage from me or something like that. But
I think you should probably send them back.
Oh no.
I think it's the season of giving, and you should probably send them back, Peter.
I'd have to dig them out. They're somewhere around here. Yeah.
Yeah. That Metroplex, man, that is a nice one.
Oh, you've got his Metroplex? Shame on you.
Peter just moved too not too long ago, so he's got a fair amount of boxes and whatnot.
But yeah, no, Transformers, best toy line ever. A lot of staying power, lasted. Our parents were probably playing with like little like guys on like sticks, marionettes and stuff. It's really cool for me, and I don't know if you guys have kids or not, but kids are playing with the same toys I played with. Even my daughter, both of my daughters have played with Transformers at some point.
I've got two kids that I know of, both girls, and they used to use Castle Grayskull as Rapunzel's tower, and then Rapunzel would throw her hair down, and then I gave him a beat up old Thunder Tank, and Flynn Rider, no lie, Flynn Rider would pull up in the Thunder Tank to Castle Grayskull to get Rapunzel.
That's pretty cool.
That is one of the best memories I have of my kids playing with toys. And then my eldest, she's 10 now. She would play with she had Skeletor, He-Man, and Battle Cat, and she would play with those guys.
Yeah, both my girls. So my oldest girl is my oldest child, and she's way past that at this point. But my oldest child with my wife is my daughter with my current wife, and she's 7, and she still plays with that stuff. I recently got her Air Razor a couple months ago. She was pretty excited about that. So,
have you guys been watching the Cyberverse cartoon together?
My son and I watch those. You talking about the ones on Netflix?
The new one on on Netflix and YouTube. Yep.
My 15-year-old and I, we've watched those together. Those were pretty cool. I really like those. And every time a new cartoon series comes out, they always have Soundwave in there, which is my favorite Transformer. So it's always an opportunity to get a new Soundwave. So,
did you remember asking any questions of anyone there, like, hey, why did Optimus die in the movie? Or do you have any other toys? Or
So we filmed this in '85. The movie didn't come out till '86.
okay.
Oh yeah, but now no, I think I was just more curious about the process. I have some pictures actually here that I of the filming and there's one of me like this magnifying on.
Can
And,
you send us those pictures if it's okay with you, and we could share them as we're
Sure.
talking during the podcast? That is a mind-blowing thing.
I mean, I
learn
have
that we've got pictures of them.
so I can send those. If you want the physical pictures, I can do that.
Yeah, actually, send the physical pictures to me.
Okay.
No.
No, I was
The
gonna say the
copies
digital
are
ones.
fine. Digital copies are fine. It's just mind blowing to like learn behind the scenes stuff of
Right.
just a commercial. Like I got to talk to a kid who he's he's an adult now. He was pictured on the front of the Trailbreaker Power cycle, and just hearing the whole process of that what he went through with the photographer, and they dressed him and they paid him for the pants and the shoes that his mom bought for him to wear to that day, and you never think that 30 years later people want to hear those stories, and this is how much people love this brand. You're right, it does have staying power, and people may think, oh, it's your wife or mom or kids may think it's inconsequential, but to us grown men, it's interesting and it's exciting to learn something new about this brand that we love. So thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, no problem. I really appreciate you guys asking me to share it with you. It's like I said, it's it's really cool. Just not from hey, I was in commercials. You guys should want to know my story. It's just really cool for someone to say, hey man, were you in these commercials? And like, yeah, I was. Hey, would love to hear your story. That's really neat, And I thank you guys for that. Even if it's four of us having this conversation and no one ever saw this, it would be just really cool to just sit here and discuss it with people who I don't know in real life. Does it make sense?
Hey, if you're going to be in the Los Angeles area in March, let me know. We'll get you set up at the convention. I just
my text. He's trying to tell me what to say to you guys.
It's amazing. It's amazing to hear this behind the scenes stuff. I'm dying to see those pictures.
I can show now. I mean, I can show them to you and then
absolutely, that would be amazing.
Somewhere else, but I just don't. These are the ones I found, and they're kind of blurry. But here's the one with the guy with the little. It's gonna be hard for me to tell if you can see this. See, the guy has like the little binocular headset thing, magnifying glass, and that's me in the little yellow sweatshirt. These are pictures of the actual set filming. It literally looks like there's a glare on that. I can't tell if you can see that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a glare.
Is that better?
Well, if you send us digital copies,
if you want to send the digitals, we can put them up on the.
I think if you move it back a little from the camera, we'll be able to see it. Yeah, there you go.
That's a little better. Yeah.
That is great. So, who took these pictures?
I'm guessing. So my brother, I think my brother went with me twice. And then my mother went with me the last time. So probably one of them.
Your brother standing there like that son of a bitch. God damn it!
No,
he's just taking pictures, and
we're 6 years old. In difference in age, he's 6 years older than me, so he kind of just missed that. That by the time Transformers came out and got big, he was in high school and just wanted to hang out with his friends, party, and play sports and stuff. So I don't think that maybe he was a little bit jealous about not being. But I don't think he cared about Transformers.
Wow. Peter, Lucas, do you have any other questions for Chris? What are we missing?
I'm trying to think. I mean, was there anything like that you didn't mention as far as like the process on the set?
Was there anything you didn't like?
The director, I thought he was a jerk. Yeah, I mean, he probably wasn't. It's kid's perception. He's just doing a job, and it's probably frustrating for him too. They're trying to work with 10-year-old kids who probably had ADD and ADHD, and too focused on the fact that they're in front of a camera and that they've got these cool toys in their hands and they're going to be on TV to really like take direction the way that we should have. But I just recall him just wasn't a huge fan. Didn't like being hot and doing almost 30 takes of a toy I really couldn't control once I let go of it. But overall, no. I mean, I don't mean to make it sound like I'm complaining or like I didn't like the whole like experience. I definitely did. I definitely had a lot of fun. It was more fun than not, but it wasn't all fun. But it's like I think we both said it. Just to say it again, it's something most people can't say that they've done.
So I'm thinking right now, my wheels are turning. How old is your youngest child?
5 months old.
Okay. So your second youngest child?
4 years old.
Okay. So you said you had like 6 or 10 kids. So somewhere in there's got to be a kid. We have to do some kind of online petition to get your kid in a Transformers commercial.
Do they still have commercials, Rick? I don't know.
Well, all right. So, my background is I used to work at Hasbro.
Right.
So I remember there was a small studio downstairs, and they would film commercials right there in Rhode Island. And they would be like a cast call to like employees' kids. Hey, we're looking for a kid this age, boy, girl, this height, whatever. Bring them down. We'll audition to them. So a lot of the times, I would say in the last 10, 15 years, when you see a kid in a Transformers commercial, that's an employee's kid.
Oh,
so
cool.
It's definitely changed since, the Wild West of the 1980s and no child safety laws, and they got you under huge heat lamps and and other countries taking direction from people that
I would love to have my kids in Transformers commercials. I mean,
there we go. We should start like a change.com petition.
Awesome to bring that full circle, and like I said, every single one of them, well, with the exception of maybe my 5-month-old, and has played with them. My daughter, the first toy I ever bought my daughter before she was even born, and I knew she was a girl, was a Soundwave, the little one that was the drone version of Soundwave, and it's in this house somewhere, and I still have to find it so I can put it up there with my collection. I know I can't think specifically with my oldest daughter, but I know I used to buy her stuff like that for Christmas all the time, and just or
what is your prized Transformers possession right now?
It's kind of hard to say. I have this. I mean, I can show you some of the stuff if you want to see it. It's right back here.
What's your favorite thing in your collection?
Maybe this Triptychon, just because it's. Excuse me. I don't know if it's rare, but I mean, I don't know anybody else who has it. I also have a Cybertron Transformer. That's pretty cool. A giant Optimus Prime. Oh, actually, probably it was my son's until he gave it back because he outgrew the toys.
Yeah, gave it back.
Yeah, I have the year of the horse.
Horse with the gold.
Starscream, and he's like,
okay,
he's like this.
Oh, the
coronation.
giant one, yeah.
Yes.
I'll show you guys real quick.
What-
The
what year was that? That
Cybertron Starscream?
That wasn't. Was that Year of the Horse?
Can you see it?
Is
I
that-
know I can't see what you guys can.
I think
Year of
it
the Snake?
was. I think it was Year
Can
of
you
the
see
Horse.
that?
Yeah.
So- Yep.
Trypticon, Cybertron, Beast Machines, Optimus Primal,
The Platinum Series one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Year of the Monkey.
It does little like tribal music.
Rick actually worked
So-
on some of those releases.
I
That's
did.
pretty
I
cool.
worked on that Starscream.
Yeah, I love that thing. When you ask me what's my favorite one, I don't know why I didn't think of that immediately.
I'll
My
tell you
favorite
what,
one-
Chris. So my current what I do now is I have a frame shop and I have an art gallery. So if you want me to frame those pictures for you at no cost, you can send me those pictures of you, and I'm
Okay.
happy to frame them in something nice for you.
That's really cool. I really appreciate that. Yeah, that sounds really neat. And then I'll mass produce them and sign autographs.
There you go.
I mean, it sounds funny, but it's one of those things that there's no harm in going to a show one day with some prints, and people, I bet you will be surprised at how many people come up to you and say, I remember that commercial.
I
Or
would do it. I would absolutely do it. I think it would be a really neat experience, and it would be, more for me. I mean,
Well, you
I
got to
would-
bring your kids to show
Yeah.
off.
oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll sign the kids and give them away.
We can probably do a raffle for the kids.
That'll work.
So
But-
Peter, how did you end up with Chris's toys?
Okay,
What
so
happened there?
let's connect some dots. Funny story. So, Chris, you filmed the commercials in 1985 in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. And 1987, my family moved from our first house in Alaska to our second house in Alaska. And I was into, I had a bunch of Transformers, but I was starting to like fall more into the G.I. Joe stage of things. And then one day I came home and Mom had this box full of Transformers, like Transformers I didn't have yet. And I was like, whoa, what is happening here? And she's like, oh, I don't want to, say your mom's name on the thing, but we she talked about your mom. They work together. And this is like late 87, early 88. And she's like, oh, her son is no longer into these. And so I got these for you. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was back on Transformers, and didn't deviate much more ever again. So that's in Alaska, So your toys, and you were only in Alaska for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Here.
So when the ebbs and flows of collecting, it just is a thing that happens. My mom and I, we were just talking about that a couple of years ago, and she also mentioned when she gave me the box that, oh, and he was in the commercials, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm 7. I'm like, that's neat. Check out this box of toys, And then years later, we were talking about that, and I was like, remember that box that you got? And she's like, oh yeah, and my coworker's son was in the commercials, and I was like, you did say that before, huh? And I knew your mom's name, so I Facebook stalked you and sent the message, and here we are.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm more interested in doing a show with Peter now about how you went from Alaska to Florida. Like that.
Oh, there's
that
been
to
lots
me
of steps in between that.
There were a lot of
like
it's a lot of zigging and zagging.
that to me is like, I thought I had it interesting going from like continent to continent, but going from like the cold to like the humid, sweltering heat of Florida.
It's a swamp down here.
It definitely gets cold up there, but it's not, in my year there, I found that it's not, I think people have a perception of Alaska, and then there's the reality of Alaska. It definitely gets warm up there. People don't realize that. It's not all igloos and snow and ice and stuff like people think.
Like warm, like 70 degrees or
Like 80.
Yeah, I mean, so yes, probably. I think sometimes, like, you'll get flukes where it gets even warmer than that. I think I read one time the record high was 90 degrees up there. But, 70 degrees up there is shorts and no t-shirt weather for those guys, you know. So I really enjoyed it. I never went back up there while I was in the Army. It would have been cool, but I don't know how cool it would be to live there when you're in the Army rather than being a kid,
Being out in the field, I would imagine, wouldn't be as much fun as just playing.
And it's a great place. I really love being there. And not to get too off topic, but you're probably going to go up there for somewhere between 2 to 4 years, more likely 3 or 4. And I think you can get the experience in a year or two.
I'm looking to have the Alaska experience and like a cruise, and like a 2 or 3 day cruise, and call it a day.
Yeah, you can't get that experience because, when I first moved up there, again, not to get too far off topic, but the first day we were there, my mom moved up there a month before we did. So we went to one of her coworkers' houses, and we're outside throwing a Frisbee around with her daughters. It's me and my brother. And they had to tell us to be quiet. Hey, man, you got to be quiet. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was broad daylight outside, literally. And it stayed like that probably for at least, I feel like it was first couple of months, but it's probably more like the first couple of weeks I was there. I was literally walking to the corner store at 3 o'clock in the morning in broad daylight. Now, the winter, at least the year I was there was never a day where it was complete and total darkness. There was always at least 1 or 2 hours of daylight. But you're going to school in total darkness. You're coming home in total darkness. Sorry, again, I didn't mean to get off topic, but
it's all good. We're just connecting these dots, and
right. No, that's interesting. I had no idea that Chris was the one potentially responsible for Peter being into Transformers. So there we go.
Mind blown.
Yeah,
You
definitely relit a fire.
Chris, your mother has cost Peter thousands of dollars.
I'll let her know that. I'll tell her.
And several marriages.
I'm not sure if it was completely because of Transformers, but
Well, they said it's the toys or me. And, I mean, if my wife said that it's the toys or me, I'd be like, I'll see you later. The toys don't fight me.
I would too. Just kidding. I love my wife.
Yeah, I love my wife too.
A great toy. Yeah, I think I think we're getting to a point where it's like men are buying these things on a regular. It's becoming a more regular thing. It's not necessarily to play with them, but just it's a piece of our history and it's just nostalgic for us. And like I said, it's really awesome to me that my kids are playing with the same toys I was playing with. I didn't play with the same toys my dad played with.
Right. Well, that's what, I think that some of our parents and people that were, older than us, they might have been into Matchbox cars or, whatever it may be. And so then, maybe they have a hot rod or whatnot. But, for us, just a time period growing up, a lot of it is those, toys and, Transformers and whatever, He-Man, whatever you may have been into at the time.
Yeah, culturally there was like that just big surge of properties starting in the late 70s and just pushing on through. And Transformers, G.I. Joe, He-Man, like we've mentioned, Inhumanoids, Ninja Turtles, and on. It's it changed the landscape completely.
So I like all of that stuff. I gotta have a whole Skeletor set up. He-Man was probably the least of the ones that I played with back then, but I still really like it a lot. It's a great series, great storyline, great cartoon. Love G.I. Joe, love Star Wars. You mentioned Matchbox cars and Hot Wheels. Love that stuff.
We're very fortunate that we grew up when we did. I think without electronics, and we're very fortunate that we grew up where we grew up because we had the ability to play with different toys, and not have the constant. This is all I see out of my daughters,
Yep.
And it drives me crazy. My 10-year-old, all she does is, swipe right, swipe left.
No, you're
Kids
right.
these days, I tell you what.
And I'm sure our kids are saying the same thing about their kids when the next new uh, technological surge or advance comes along. But just going outside and playing, and I remember running around with X-wing in our hands, or like posing an AT-AT, or with your Transformers, Starscream, and stuff like that.
Man, I had so much fun as a kid landing I had my cousins hand me down for Star Wars, so I would land the Millennium Falcon on top of the AT-AT, and the AT-AT was like the house, and the Falcon was the car, and they would land the Falcon on the AT-AT, and then putting Yoda's little hut on top of the Ewok village, and then going through the little sand trap to the Ewok village.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, my 15-year-old his relationship with his friends is through this, and they're cool with that, and that's
And
that's cool with. Hey, as long as you got friendship, that's cool. But you're missing out. They're missing out on
And COVID's changed things as well. And it's crazy to think that kids can play video games with other kids online. I remember we knew where everyone was because the bikes were outside. And I remember playing with Robbie down the street, and we were playing with Devastator in the backyard because he had 3 guys and I had 3 guys. And when our powers united, we had Devastator.
I think I had some of those. Peter, do you have any of those? Do you have? But
There was
I never full set though, right?
No, it was a Mixmaster and Scavenger.
Yeah. But yeah, Devastator was a really cool one, and I think the first time I ever saw any of those may have been during the commercials. I think some of the trading cards were of the Constructicons, and that may have been my first introduction to those because I think those were relatively new at that time too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, my son and I, my 15-year-old, from the time he was 3.5, first time I came home from Iraq, you were playing the newest Halo had come out the day I'd gotten home, and I had pre-ordered it on Amazon, so it was waiting for me. And we grew up playing that, so he's going to look back and he's going to have that, and that's going to be his memory. And his kids will have something completely different than video games. But I still think, he did play with the Transformers, so it's not like you're describing, not the way that we did, not going out.
It's a nice.
Buddies.
It's nice that you get to share that with your kids. Like, I remember the day my dad got back from deployment, we went online and started shooting people. It's great. But on a serious note, Chris, thank you for your service to our country.
No, thank you.
You're a much braver man than I am.
Well, it wasn't always easy, let me just tell you. But no, I appreciate it. I appreciate, your gratitude. And don't take this the wrong way. People would say that to you in a grocery store when you're, buying milk on the way home in your uniform. What do you say to people when they say that to you?
Do you got a 5? You got a 10 on you?
Yeah. Back, because it's they appreciate it,
So is it? I mean, this is very off topic, but is it not appropriate then?
No. It's absolutely appropriate, but it's just kind of like, I guess when it first started happening, after a while, it was just kind of commonplace. But, to me, it's like if I went up to the cashier in the grocery store and said, "Hey, thanks for being a cashier." You know what I'm saying? It's just my job. I appreciate that you appreciate, but it's just kind of like, kind of off guard, at least at first.
Being a cashier and being in the armed services, I guess both have their risk of getting shot. But
yeah, I guess. But yeah. And,
well, I think with that, we should probably bring things to a close. Amazing experience talking to you, Chris.
Thanks.
Very fascinating.
You guys too.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
If you want those framed, contact me. I'm happy to frame them for you.
Sure. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you want to send the pictures as well, and we'll go ahead and get them added to the show, kind of edited in.
Okay.
And whatnot. So
Yeah.
Do you have any parting words for us, Chris?
Just like, thanks, Peter. Thanks for remembering that. Thanks for, seeking me out. It's just, like I said, it's being on a podcast is almost just as cool as doing the commercials. For someone to be interested enough, even if it's just enough to want to talk to me about it, that's just really cool to me. You know what I'm saying?
Hopefully 30 years from now, someone will be like, hey, were you on that podcast one time? Can you come talk to us about? I can't believe all the guys on that podcast killed those guys. I can't believe they murdered all those people.
What?
I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about there, Rick, but okay.
We haven't got. That's in the future. We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. Well, anyway, but yeah, thank you again for being on, and thanks again. I don't know. Anyone else have any?
Just
hey, pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm glad we were able to do this. And thank you for being available. Thank you for being receptive, and thank you for what you've done for unknowingly done for me. Because you relit a fire.
To you.
Oh, it's This has been really, really great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chris, if you only knew how messed up Peter's life is because of Transformers.
Well, I mean, you know what I think is also cool? I think it's really cool that he still has them. I let him go. He held on to them, and I think that's pretty cool. Whether I ever see those things ever again in person or not, it's really cool to know where they are.
They're safe.
And I think that's really neat. And thanks for taking care of them. But yeah, I appreciate it. I really appreciate being on the podcast. Like I said, I think it's great, and thanks for being interested enough to have me.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, and we will see everyone next week
or next year.
Next year, yeah, depending on when
next
the
year.
airs.
Yes.
All right.